All right, Brian's doing 6 reps at 3-2-1-1 for tempo. And do some paused front squats. I think he has 100 kilos on there. We'll get an idea as to what he's going to be doing for that in relation to his 1RM. For this, we'll call it level 3, level 4 squatting. You're going to make the assumption when people do pause squatting, or they're going to be doing heavy loaded pauses, especially at the bottom of the eccentric. It's essentially really important that they have solid mechanics. So a checklist for people that would be able to do pause squatting like that is they've done time under tension squats for a period of time, where they develop that pattern of more than 40, 50, 60 seconds that they can maintain some good alignment the whole time. This also means that in that time under tension, they have to be able to keep the pieces of both feet equal, flat on the ground, both feet in the same position in terms of the angle of turnout, knees tracking over the toes equally. Lumbar spine position is what you want it to be as a coach, and they have no breaking within any of those parts for all the repetitions. If people can successfully do that without even pausing, they could do it for a period of time for absolute strength improvements, then pauses are fine. The positive thing around the pauses, for the 2-second pause especially, is it forces people to work on not just the position of the movement, but also the breath and tension. So it's really important to start developing aspects of the clean catch for having tension at that bottom of it. Bottom of the squat, and also, as mentioned, you're adding more time under tension by being there, along with the main reason, which is to pick on that positional inadequacy, or just the positional piece that you want to help with someone. Set number 3, Brian? Set 3? What percentage of that is your 1RM right now? Just a guess. Guess.
Say 75.
Got it. One, 2, 3, 1,000. 1, 2. So if we were to be perfect on the pause, 1,000, 2, 1,000, he's actually not holding for 2 at the bottom, so I'll mention to him next set, see if he can make it more challenging after that. But something to look at. We're not directly from the side, but just try to look at bar path for the next 2 reps. And that white pole in the background is certainly helping. See the little dip on the front end? So that's his quads working so hard to extend those knees. His femurs are a little long in relation to his squatting, but he does have a good torso length, and Brian is a good squatter, good squat mechanics. That short rest period made those last 2 spicy?
Yeah. So 5 to 6? 6, 5.
It's a range now. It's 5 to 6 at 3-2-1-1. Make that 2 a 2 as well. That's like 1.25 for a couple reps there. 1,000, 2 1,000, boom. Then you go.
That's fair.
I think you were leaving before the 2 1,000. Tension's not the issue. It's just you staying tight through here as you come up. You start getting tired.
I get that.
The hips. Well, the hips want to work. You want to extend your knees really quickly, and then that's why you break, because your body weight shifts.
Shifts on.
Yeah. Just a smidgen, but enough where you're tired and chains it up. Sorry, it's a good struggle. What's that? You saw me come in though. Set 4. For the time under tension, if you want to think about in principle for where Brian is for the training, it's really for the pause, in most cases, taking care of an accumulation phases. The odd time it can be put into some intensity work, but in most cases intensity phases, especially if people are doing strength speed as an aspect of training, you want to think about the elasticity component inside their training often as possible. A lot of that pausing is not going to occur because of the CNS demand as well. It doesn't carry over to increases in strength speed with that eccentric contraction at the bottom. So a lot of those pauses are really taking place in accumulation phases where you're doing some structural work, more structural balance, and that's what you're trying to fix. So let's see if you can maintain that on set 3, 4, and 5 for tension here this time around. Good job, Brian. Taking a little bit too long, pause the top. He's working real hard now. 2, 3, 4. Good effort. Good effort. Good effort. Did it help a little bit for the focus on that one?
Yeah, just fatigue.
You had to take a little break at the top too for it?
Yeah.
You got one more, or will I cue it up?
I'm gonna cue it up.
Okay, thanks, man.
I'll die.
Yep. So just a review on that. It's actually a good time under tension you want to think about for recovery period for that, because you can see he didn't recover 100% in order to be able to do the same amount of work to get that. Just so you can see it at 75% was chosen for the weight. And really, we're using a rep range as a determining factor. We're not using the percentage, but it's always nice to know what percentage that is of the 1RM, just for conversation for coaches as well as NME, and to kind of figure some things out for the benefit of it. And his tempo was 3-2-1-1. He turned that pause, the top, into more than 1 second over a period of time. And if you're going to do the 2-second pause with that time frame, you can think of it as 3 down, 2 pause, 1 up and 1 pause. So that's 3, 2, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7. 7 times 6, that's like 42 seconds per set. And he had a rest as needed in the prescription, which is fair. I fast-tracked him a little bit in the recovery period because of the filming, but just gives you an indication that for Brian, for that accumulation, he may need a little bit more than 2 minutes between sets in order to do that for 40 seconds of high time under tension. And his training age is fairly high, so like we talk about in time under tension for more intermediate to advanced folks, that's a marathon close for Brian right now, to do that amount of tension consistently, where the mechanics and the fatigue breaks even in the concentric action by the end of that time frame. So if we're to be perfect with it, a 30-second time frame with a long eccentric and a pause would probably be best for Brian, with about a 2-minute rest and 4 to 5 sets. So 5 sets for 5 to 6 reps at 3-2-1-1 paused front squat. Just a kind of exercise to be used specifically for someone who has great mechanics and has done a lot of time under tension with the front squat to enable it to be a part to play within their accumulation phase mainly, to look to try to improve whatever you're trying to improve within the front squat. So that's what we're talking about this time around. Pause front squat at 3-2-1-1, 5 to 6 repetitions times 5. Thank you, Brian Foley, for that, for working hard for us today. That's it.